This is the Bahamas Night Northern Edition. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ricardo Lightborn. Thank you for joining us. Well, the Ministry of Education, along with the Bahamas Unit of Teachers, conducting another round of assessments with the schools here on Grand Bahama. While the process has been made as far as progress in the schools, BUT officials on Grand Bahama say there's a great deal of more work that needs to be done to the schools. Let's go to Megan Shepard for that one.
The Bahamas Union of Teachers partnering with the Ministry of Education to assess public schools on Grand Bahama, specifically those hardest hit in the West. Area Vice President for the BUT, Quinton LaRota, says they need to get an accurate insight on what is happening.
At these times, the union need not be adversarial, but we must be realistic, and we must give or assist in giving a full account of what the challenge is, so that the powers that be can be fully prepared and they're planning to overcome them. This is not a time to make things seem prettier than they are, or to rush things that need not be rushed. This is a time to look at the situation, assess it properly, and then devise the plans and the strategies to address it as best we can.
The Bartley Hill Primary School was one that incurred significant damage, resulting in the school moving to a new location.
These are community schools, and so it's really hard. My heart goes out to the community and to the people. I know the Ministry of Education is trying to get the schools up and running, but I see some severe challenges here. Bartley Hill, that school has been damaged tremendously. The winds of the hurricane blew out even the walls of the school, and they've relocated to a church, and we'll see how best the teachers and the students administrative adapted at new locations.
It has been almost 3 weeks since the passing of Hurricane Matthew, and LaRota says he is disappointed that more has not been done in terms of repairs. He says the major work should have been already completed, so there will be less distractions for the students.
I'm very concerned about what plan that administration will have to utilize any of the facilities that are available, because the holes are still in the roof, the damages are still there, lines are still down on the campus, and so that is cause for major concern. I think what I expected to hear by now, what I'm not hearing, and to put it in human terms, I want to hear some hammers. I want to hear some work being done. Something by now should have been up and running.
LaRota is also condemning those that have used this time to commit crimes against the school.
Those people who are vandalizing and stealing from the schools. I know Bartley Hill had some stuff stealing from those schools. I mean, at a time like this, when there's a hurricane and there's damage and people are trying to rebuild their lives and sort things out, you go in and stealing in the schools and in people's homes, people's businesses. It's terrible. I mean, when did we become a nation of thieves? When did that become acceptable? When I was a young boy, to be called a thief was perhaps the biggest insult you could get. Now it seems like these young people, they revel in, I sting that, and it's a shame.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Now, all public schools are to open up on Grand Bahama tomorrow, but that's with the exception of Walter Parker Primary School, and Walter Parker School the students will return on Thursday. Only the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students of Agmar Rock School will return to school tomorrow. The 7th and the 8th and 9th graders of Agmar Rock will return on Wednesday. Jack Haywood Senior High 10th and 12th graders will return tomorrow, while the 11th graders will return on Wednesday. Well, many communities are still cleaning up after Hurricane Matthew, but the government has actually put procedures in place for residents to access the benefits under the exigency order that will actually last until 180 days. Assistant Controller Customs and Officer in Charge of Northern Region, Sherrick Martin, says procedures have actually been moving quite smoothly at the airport and also the harbor.
Persons traveling with $3,000 and less on goods which are considered materials which covers under the exigency order will be able to access those goods immediately upon arrival. We have customs officers stationed at the harbor and at the airport to approve those declarations. Where NEMA would have normally approved the declarations, customs are now approving those declarations. Goods that are considered cargo up for a value of $10,000, the customs officer will also be able to approve those goods also. However, goods over $10,000 will have to be referred to NEMA for approval.
Well, Hurricane Matthew may have actually caused significant damage throughout Grand Bahama, but it would appear that it didn't impact the spirit of the people. The parliamentary officers are here has been consistent with the flow of persons registering as they prepare to exercise their democratic right to vote. Sabrina Brown fills us in.
During the 2012 general election, some 30,000 people were eligible to vote on Grand Bahama. While voter registration got off to a slow start this time around, Assistant Parliamentary Commissioner Reno Smith says, following the passing of Hurricane Matthew, there has been a constant flow of persons coming in to register.
We now have some 8,479 persons as of yesterday, and that has increased significantly over the last few days.
He says provisions have been made for anyone who may have lost important documents during the storm.
We understand that since the passing of Matthew, some persons have lost some identification and other valuable papers, and so we're using our discretion in conjunction with our database. We can check our database and see what sort of identifications were used previously, and definitely if passport was one of them, we will allow those persons to register as we have that information in the database.
Due to a lack of power throughout the island in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew, Smith says some adjustments have been made to the registration drive.
We also want to advise the public that due to the hurricane, evening registration has ceased, and that the sub-office in 8 Mile Rock, the administrators complex, has been closed. And so we're now up and running from 9:30 until 5 each day here at the National Insurance Building.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Now, while the Grand Bahama Power Company has successfully re-energized many communities on Grand Bahama, there's a lack of electricity actually taking toll on an elderly man considered a pioneer in his own right. Well, tonight his daughter is appealing for some help. Let's go to Joan Davis-Roll for that.
I just don't know what to tell my dad. You know, I've been trying and trying, and I can't get anywhere.
There are tears of pain and hopelessness. A daughter's plea for help as an ailing father stands on the brink of death.
Well, Dad is Maurice Boone. He worked for 51 plus years at the Grand Bahama Port Authority, actually Grand Bahama Development Company, surveying the island in the 50s for Wallace Groves and doing all the subdivisions and designing the Grand Lacaille Waterway, redesigning the airport for bigger jets, the L-1011s, and basically dedicated his life to building the city of Freeport. He is retired. He's 82 now, and sadly he's suffering from end-stage lung cancer.
Gail Woon stated that after surviving Hurricane Matthew, she's now faced with an emotional storm.
The day after the storm, he told me he can't walk anymore, and so we have a caregiver, and then I've been staying there as well. But approximately a week after the storm, I made a plea to BTC and to the Grand Bahama Power Company through their Facebook messaging, because we now have phones. So I got a favorable response from BTC, but my response from Grand Bahama Power was quite the opposite, basically saying they acknowledge my request. They're working on the bigger areas of Freeport.
Gail says while she understands that the island of Grand Bahama is in a state of restoration, all she wants is to help restore her father's peace of mind.
It would be nice to run a fan and just to make him comfortable. Thankfully, our friends Leslie and Eric Baptista lent us a generator for a time, but a few days ago it broke down and they're trying to get it repaired. He's really not good at all. He might weigh 50 pounds. He can't lift his head off the pillow. He's barely eating. He takes his medication and is on oxygen, but I don't know how long he's going to be here.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Now, Paul, officials say that they have been through the abandoned lane area and resolved all reported outages, and at the best of their knowledge, all the customers in the area are energized. Officials say that if you are without power and you see your neighbors with electricity, you should contact the power company right away at 352-8411. They say without this information, and it is impossible for the power company to actually know if the customers are without power or not, so they can register and get the work done for you, okay? Now, also, 2 males are in police custody in Abaco following a shooting incident that has actually left a man dead on Sunday. Reports are that shortly before 4 a.m., the man was involved in an argument with another man near a nightclub off the Essex Highway in Murphytown. Well, the victim was reportedly shot with a shotgun. He was transported to the local clinic where he was pronounced dead. An island-wide manhunt was mounted. As the result, 2 suspects were arrested and are being questioned in connection with that fatal shooting. There's more news to come, so stay with us.